All right, welcome back, folks, to the Alec Lewis Show. I'm your host, Alec Lewis, and we are here for episode 2. Wow, we made it barely. Really barely. I'm pretty surprised. They let us back on these platforms that really don't have a choice. So, first, I just want to thank all you guys for the support so far. It's been pretty phenomenal. I am kind of, I don't want to say humble. It's like so cliche of me to say, but it's cool that as many of not only friends, family, that type of deal, but like Vikings fans are down for this, are excited about it. Enjoy listening to Robert Mays, a guy that I have revered since I was a young kid, and not the old crusty veteran that I am now, obviously, when I was at Mizzou. So it's really cool. I've been on cloud nine in a sense, given football's back, and we've had a lot of action, not albeit the most positive of action, which we will get into. I probably won't do a lot of these where I'm just recording on my own. It's just kind of like you're hosting a radio show. It is not the easiest. It's tough. Like you guys know, when you're just talking with friends, you're just shooting. It's pretty easy, but in front of a microphone, when you got to come up with stuff, it's harder than the experts think, which you probably shouldn't say on a podcast that you are now hosting, but I did. I'll say this too, which you should say on a podcast. Please like and subscribe this, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Apple, regardless. I think that helps me. Don't know how. Probably deals with advertisers or something. But that would be pretty cool if you did it. So I'd appreciate it. And like I said, we're gonna have fun on all of these. I've said that a lot, but it's genuinely a joy for me to feel like I am communicating directly with the fans in a way that I think differs a little bit from writing. I will say, the writing, for the people that know me, the writing is my passion. It is the carrot that I strive after on a daily basis. And I've got some stuff coming next week that I'm very excited about. Spent some time with a lot of different people and people connected to a lot of the people that you guys really care about. So it should be fun for you guys to read that. We're going to go Vikings heavy here, probably go 30 minutes and out. If I go longer than that, then I'm diabolical recording this at night when I was supposed to do a live stream that I botched because of technical difficulties. Again, we're going to do Vikings, but I want to start here. And this is not a paid ad. This is not a paid ad, but Jersey Mike's, they put a Jersey Mike's near the Vikings facility in Eagan at the TCO Performance Center. It's out there 25 minutes from downtown, and they put this Jersey Mike's, and they put the sign up last year, so we knew it was coming. And the people who know me well know I love this sub. I mean, I do. They cut it in front of you, makes it feel fresh. I don't know if it really is fresh. If it was an ad, I probably wouldn't be saying all that. But I went on the first day of training camp. That was Wednesday, and I got a small sub. I'm like, I'm probably going to be here a lot. I got to eat smart. And then I go back today. I'm recording this on Thursday, and the guy behind the counter is the same guy, and he's looking at me like, I mean, what is going on? And he probably knows his subs are extremely good. But to see me there 2 days in a row, I think blew him away. The problem that he's going to have is he might see me tomorrow and in the days to come and the weeks to come. I'm not going to try to rack up like 7,000 rewards points at Jersey Mike's. Otherwise, it's not going to be a good look for my YouTube self. But great sub. Highly recommend that when you guys go out there to training camp. And this is not an ad. So, hopefully they send me like a gift card or something. That'd be phenomenal because I'm probably going to go 47,000 times over the course of this season. We'll get into the Vikings, and I'll just start with really the news so far of training camp. The news, not like the stuff that's made me really excited, made me smile, made me go, wow, but like the news. And obviously that began Wednesday when Mekhi Blackman tore his ACL. Just absolutely brutal news. Terrible. In so many regards, it's terrible for him, a guy who, just talking to people around him, was really motivated in his second season. Like, I don't think a lot of people know this, but last year he injured his shoulder during training camp. he didn't have an operation. He ended up practicing pretty soon after, and he played the entire season with a pretty serious shoulder injury and navigated that. And so to have an offseason where he rehabbed and came into this thing really motivated to earn the number 3 cornerback spot, and then to have it go down the way it did was, I mean, it was just awful. Like, my vantage point, we're standing up on the hill in the middle of really the Vikings practice fields, and all of the sudden, like, I was standing next to Kevin Seifert of ESPN. All of the sudden, you see Tyler Williams, the Vikings director of health. You see Dr. George Coetzee, who performed Kirk Cousins' Achilles, They walk over and are tending to a player on the ground. Ultimately find out it's Mekhi Blackman, and they're tending to him, and the time passes. And and it's like, man, he has been down for a long time. At one point, a golf cart heads that way, and it's brutal. I got on the phones and found out pretty quickly that it was a knee injury, and he ultimately was not carted off. He walked off on his own with a trainer, but you knew it was pretty serious. And then afterward, I remember I was walking off the field and I heard Theo Jackson, one of the Viking safeties, speaking to another teammate, and they were talking about what happened. You knew the magnitude of it from the Vikings perspective was obvious when Brian Flores in the middle of 7-on-7 where he's calling defense, all this stuff, made a beeline to talk to Tyler and George Coetzee to figure out kind of what was going on. And then to have the news be an ACL tear, as brutal an injury as possible on the first day of camp, for a position group that has already been depleted, and in a tragic way with Kyrie Jackson's passing. It was just terrible vibe. The vibe, you could just feel the air go out of the balloon. Like, that's how it felt like throughout the course of yesterday evening. Got a call, and when it was when I was informed of the information that it was a torn ACL, your mind goes a lot of places. Again, it goes to, man, this is awful for Mekhi, who, speaking to people around him, it sounds like his family is just distraught, as you imagine they would be amid these circumstances. And then you hear Brian Flores talk today about how much he believed that Mekhi Blackman was going to take another step this year. He's a guy that they drafted out of USC. He played a lot of college ball. He succeeded in man and zone. He's smaller, but the competitiveness and just the drive and the want to was like the classic Brian Flores is here. This is the type of defensive pick they're going to make. And I personally was just really interested to see if he could ascend to that number 3 corner spot alongside Shaq Griffin and Byron Murphy. So just brutal. And I just mentioned Shaq Griffin, which I go back to the news, which is where I started. Shaq Griffin today, in another just minor drill, 7-on-7, 11-on-11 type drill, picks off a pass. And he's looked really good. Shaq Griffin, he's a veteran in the league, has been with Jacksonville, was in Houston, has not had a ton of success in recent years, but they brought him in here to be a veteran presence alongside Byron Murphy, to allow Byron Murphy to play in the nickel. And he's looked really good. He's matched up with Justin Jefferson. He's brought the fire in those matchups. He did in the spring as well. He picked off this pass. It's like, that was a nice jump pass. A nice anticipatory read from Shaq Griffin. And I've been excited about him. And then all of a sudden he turns to run the interception back and just kind of crumbled to the ground. And it's like, I can only speak for myself, but it was genuinely like, what is going on with this position group on this field with these players who are pivotally important if this team is going to exceed the 6.5 win expectation that they have? Just absolutely brutal. And I was on KFAN on Paul Allen's show on Thursday, and he used words of are these bad vibe type of events harbingers to come? And the positivity in you wants to say, no way. I imagine you guys listening to this, I mean, you feel like, how can this continue to happen to our team, to this position groups? And I feel you. Like, it's brutal. Now, Shaq Griffin, there has not been any information. He walked off on his own power with the trainer. He did not return. He was being checked out. And then afterward, he rode on a cart to what I believe, just listening to some people talk over on the sideline, was to go get an MRI. So I mean, I saw Durante Jones, who leads the defensive pass game unit, kind of checking on Shaq Griffin, interested to see what the circumstances were. And I think that, to me, was a clarification of, like, this is a guy you can't lose. I mean, I know they didn't spend a ton of money on him in free agency. I believe it was around $6 million. I know he isn't a bona fide star at the position, but as being the veteran he is, and for what he's meant to that room, and for how he allows Brian Flores to be versatile with that position group, it's something we're going to have to watch. Hopefully we'll have some more news Friday or Saturday, and hopefully he's back on the field, because that position group right now is the one spot, even after adding Duke Shelley, even with potential options like a Dwight McLaughlin, who I love the body type. I still think from a technique standpoint, like, there's going to have to be room to grow from him. And I'm looking forward to watching him on a day-to-day basis go up against even a guy like Jalen Naylor. But that position group is one that they just have to add. And so the question that you would probably ask me, and you want to know, and you're probably listening to Tim Mitch, you're like, all right, Alec, tell me who they're going to add. I mean, look, there are options on the market. There are guys who make sense, guys with familiarity with Brian Flores, the Stephon Gilmores, the J.C. Jacksons, the Xavier Howards. These guys are at differing points of their career. They have differing dollar values, and most of them are veterans that are older and who are older. And I will say, one theme in Kwesi Adofo-Mensah's time here as the GM is they rarely sign pretty much aged veterans who are like plug and play for 1 year. They did that maybe for 2022 because they felt like that team could really succeed. But in general, in free agency, it's a Jonathan Gennard who is young enough to have upside. It is an Andrew Van Ginkel who, I guess he maybe fits a little bit of this mold, but he is a guy, I think, given the way his pressure rates have increased year over year, he's a guy who they probably still believe has upside. Aaron Jones maybe fits the bill, but this is an incredibly talented player who has produced. So we'll see what they do there. I mean, if I was pegging it, a guy like Stephon Gilmore makes sense. You know, it'd be interesting because he, against Justin Jefferson, if you guys remember that Colts game in 2022, Stephon really got him, but Justin got him back with the little toe tap move in the end zone that I think made me hollering in the press box with how ridiculous it was. So we'll see. But that, to me, I mean, that's been the newsiest aspect of camp. That position group, cornerback, is the one that I watch and I'm concerned about. I was concerned about it last year. Caleb Evans took a lot of snaps with the ones, and there's hope with him. Athletically, he has it. I think I wonder frequently, does he have the football intelligence to react as quickly as maybe you have to at that position? So that is a question of mine. And then behind those guys, it is an Andrew Booth Jr. who I don't have faith in. It is he's a guy who would have to prove it to me. Jalen Williams, who's a young guy, feisty little corner they got from Indiana, but to rely on him, I think that's a tough place to be. So, it's that position group to me right now is the number one subject of camp. And if this team, like I've said, is going to overachieve in any capacity, I think they're going to have to add there, and I think they're going to have to add soon. So we will keep you guys updated on what they do there, and it'll be interesting to see how they fill that role. I guess I'll go positive because I'm usually, the people listening to this who know me very well know that I am a genuinely and generally a positive, happy, probably flowery person. Like that's just how I am. I love. I just love thinking. It just maybe it makes me feel comfortable. I don't really know, but the people who know me know that. And the positive, without a doubt, have been the play of the quarterbacks, which is a pretty important position. And if you guys listen to the show with Robert Mays, like you could tell how interested and intrigued he was by what Sam Darnold could be. And so, I mean, look, there have been two passes that just blew you away. It was the deep play action to Justin Jefferson on Wednesday, and it was the shotgun drop back 50-yard bomb to Jordan Addison on Thursday. And both of these balls, I mean, it is the arc of the passes. It is the ease with which Sam Darnold was pushing the ball down the field. It was the reaction from Justin Jefferson, who was skipping around like he was pressing the triangle button in NCAA football as like a hurdle celebration. Like that is what it looked like in the moment. And to have those guys, Sam Darnold specifically, look the way he has. I mean, it is anticipatory throws to the sideline to Brandon Powell. It is lasers over the middle. I'm not going to sit here and act like he is the next coming of whatever, but I mean, look, all you can say in my role is what you see. And what we've seen from Sam Darnold is a really, really impressive showing through 2 days. And that's all it is, 2 days. But it is worth mentioning. And I mean, I tweeted this, but even after Jordan Addison's conversation with the media Wednesday, which was the first time he spoke since his arrest on suspicion of DUI, after Jordan Addison spoke, he went to Sam Darnold. They walked off the field together. They might have been talking about ball. They might have been talking about Jordan's interview. I don't know. I didn't ask the question, but to me, the fact that Jordan would wait and then go walk with Sam Darnold off the field, it's just a notable moment that I just didn't overlook. And something that from a leadership standpoint, you also want to see that from Sam Darnold. You want to watch how that progresses or doesn't on a consistent basis. J.J. McCarthy has also looked really, really sharp. I mean, like, I saw some people on Twitter that are talking about a tweet that I had about JJ's velocity. And it's just never going to be an issue, especially on the over the middle digs, on the high-low patterns over the middle. Like JJ McCarthy can navigate that stuff really, really well. And I believe today he was 8 for 9, whether it was flat routes, whether it was a post over the middle deep to Robert Tonyan, heck of a catch by Tonyan, but JJ got the ball up and down in a way that he had to. And so I kind of came into this camp. I don't want expectations to be on. I don't want to put high expectations on my evaluation because I don't think the team is doing that. I think they want him to take the time. But I did want to see, does he look more comfortable than he did in the spring? Does he look more fluid? And he's checked up through 2 days. Like he has looked the way that if I was just observing it and like how I would want him to look, that's what I would say in terms of what I've seen from him. And so, I mean, the fact that the quarterbacks in that both of those guys have looked the way they have is a real positive that in juxtaposition to how tough the cornerback room is and how hard it is to be optimistic about the direction there. I think it's pretty easy to be optimistic. Obviously, when you guys are probably screaming at me right now, when the pass rush shows up, when he's facing other defenses, when the clock speeds up, when he's got to progress in real time, that's going to test Sam Darnold. It's going to test JJ McCarthy. But overall, you can do what you only can do what you can do. And if you talk to people who have studied practice and what translates to actual game, 7-on-7, talk to analytics people. They will tell you that it has a predictive effect to what's going on. So I pay attention to those things because of that. That is kind of our opening deal. I'm going to get to questions. We're going to do a bunch more Vikings talk right here, pretty hardcore. We'll do these every now and then. Hopefully they will be live, and so I'll just let you guys fire away and not have to come up with a Jersey Mike's kind of free ad that they got off the top. But we're going to come back. I'm going to answer a bunch of questions. This is the Alec Lewis Show. Thanks for stopping by. All right, welcome back to the Alec Lewis Show. We're going to get into you guys' questions. We'll do this every now and then. I'm glad I submitted the ask from you guys. Got some really good stuff. I got Paul Allen of K-Fan trolling me to start. What does Justin Jefferson look like when he skips, and are we back? Yeah, I mean, this guy, Paul Allen, he's something else. You guys know that. You probably listen to our segments. He is one of a kind. and he's wild. But yeah, I gave you a metaphor, PA. It's like he was skipping as if you were pressing triangle in a hurdle in an NFL street or something. I've got some buddies who passed along questions. This was pretty good from a guy here locally, Alex Case. Is Sam Darnold the next Kurt Warner, late bloomer with weapons everywhere? I mean, after you just heard me talk, and you guys are probably laughing at me, you probably turned it off at this point. This guy's crazy. You probably think I'm going to say yes. Look, predicting to be the next Kurt Warner, the next Rich Gannon, the next, I mean, Steve Young struggled to begin his career and obviously thrived the way he did. That's far out there. I don't want to put myself on that type of limb, but I've said this publicly. I've worked a lot behind the scenes in terms of conversations with people in the industry. I don't think people really know or have an understanding, I should say, of what Sam Darnold navigated in New York and Carolina in the start to his NFL career. I mean, I have had people tell me, and I don't want to get out ahead in front of myself because there are stories to come, but I've had people tell me, like, if you want an example of how to develop a quarterback suboptimally, just look at Sam Darnold. Like that. I mean, it's the reality. Lack of weapons, lack of offensive line talent, coaching inconsistencies, scheme transitions, ownership meddling. I mean, it is every aspect that you would want to a box to be checked in terms of, like, well, did this go wrong? Check. Did this go wrong? Check. Did this go wrong? Check. And so, I mean, part of me is for Sam Darnold to even be here throwing deep balls to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison says a lot about his willingness to respond to adversity. I know he's gotten paid. I know he's a first, all that. But, like, I mean, to get beaten down in the public eye the way he has and get to where he is, I mean, it tells you something. And then I believe with Kevin O'Connell and how he evaluates quarterbacks, for him to look at Sam and really feel like it was worth providing the opportunity, that says something to me as well. I mean, I hesitate to go all the way of some grand speculation, because I do think there are things that Sam's going to have to navigate. The turnovers, interceptions, fumbles. He struggled in that regard. So there are aspects that, to me, I want to see in live action against Cleveland in joint practices where they're locking up in man coverage and guys are struggling to separate. Can Sam fit the ball in? Is he choosing the correct windows? All of that stuff are barriers that I must cross to make any grand statement beyond he's practiced for 2 days in more full speed than we saw in the spring, and he's looked really good. But Alex Case, appreciate the question. You got a nice golf game, so yeah, you warranted the first question after Paul Allen. I mean, let's see here. We got a lot of stuff. We got Informe Purpura. Do you think Dwight McGlothern has a chance to contribute early now that Blackman is injured? I mean, it would be awesome if an undrafted rookie ascended to starting level status the way that Ivan Pace Jr. did, but I don't expect Dwight McGlothern. I had a conversation with someone inside the building there, and they similarly are like, his body type is very intriguing. He does have the aptitude to kind of read things across the field, but there's a lot of technique adaptation that is required when you transition to the NFL. And this is an entirely new scheme, so I just would find it hard to believe that a guy like him is starting, especially early in the season, over even in a Caleb Evans, who to me has a lot to prove in his own right, an uphill fight to climb to earn the trust the way he did earlier in last season, and then, which fell off towards the end of last year. So that's what I'd say. I mean, best case scenario to me for Dwight McGlothern, he is contributing on special teams and then mixing in maybe towards the end of the season. So that's what I'd say. But I talked to him during the spring. We had like a 5-minute conversation. Really pleasant dude. He seemed really motivated and has a connection with Durante Jones from his time at LSU. So he's one of those guys when I'm out there and you're trying to watch different position groups, and that's what's tough. Even in my role, you don't get the replay of watching every angle and every position and who got beat on every pass play. But he's a guy that I try to watch if he's lined up against a Jalen Naylor or a Brandon Powell or a Jordan Addison. I want to see what it looks like. So great question there. Patrick Seepin, after Mekhi Blackman, any word on the Vikings signing a veteran cornerback like Gilmore or Howard? I have not gotten word. I asked Kevin O'Connell about it today, speaking Thursday, and he said, we're talking about this stuff right now. I would be absolutely shocked if they did not add someone with more experience than the guy they added today, being Thursday, which is a guy, Jacoby Francis, who has bounced around the league. So I'd expect it. I mean, Stephon Gilmore, there are some legendary moments with him and Brian Flores in 2018 in New England and playing with the Patriots and succeeding the way he did. So I'm sure there's a bond there that would make sense to me. But other than that, I don't. You just never know. Guy comes in for a workout, it happens. This stuff isn't very premeditated. I think after bringing in Duke Shelley, they were excited internally about seeing what the competition with Mekhi Blackman, with the Caleb Evans, with the Dwight McLaughlins, Andrew Booth, what that was going to look like. And now they're kind of back to the drawing board. So I'd expect them to add somebody. Hard to say at this point who it might be. JJ McDarnold, great name, by the way, phenomenal stuff. How has the defensive tackle group been looking? Question mark. LDR, question mark. He's talking about Levi Drake Rodriguez, the 7th-round pick, who is the last guy out on the field every day, dipping and spinning his way against ghost pass blockers, and I've enjoyed watching him just interact with teammates. Funny guy. At some point, I'll dig a little deeper into his story, both either on the pod and in written form over at The Athletic. So stay tuned for that. But the defensive tackle group, I mean, look, it's like going to I'm in a food mood, I guess. It's like going to Chipotle. Like, you know what you're going to get. You know, if you're a chicken guy, what it's going to taste like. That, like it, and I mean, Chipotle is very high end in my opinion. Whereas this defensive tackle group, you don't have some superstar at that position. I mean, Harrison Phillips and Jonathan Bullard are really solid at what they do. And that's stop the run. I mean, you're not going to get Harrison Phillips penetrating, dipping, spinning his way toward the quarterback on the interior. Just not going to happen. That doesn't mean he's not valuable and productive in his own right, in his own spot. And they brought in Jerry Tillery, who they have used from what I've watched in more of a pass rush type role. And then you have like Jaquelin Roy, who to me still in developmental mode. It's not like he's taken a huge step. James Lynch, Jonah Williams, these are other names, but it's not a position group that I feel incredibly strong about. It's just not. Behind cornerback and maybe the depth at receiver, I wonder about that spot. I really do. Now, if you can stop the run on early downs, then you don't need an interior pass rusher on third down when you're going to get as versatile and hectic and crazy as Brian Flores does. So, I mean, we'll see how it shakes out. I'm interested in you guys. Starry, who's always on me, and I appreciate his tweets at me all the time. What is the song of the summer? I've been really on Zach Bryan. You guys might be, if you're country people, you know, the new album was phenomenal. I like John Mayer too. He has a song Better Days with Mayer. That's kind of my jam at the moment, but I listen to everything. I mean, you literally rap. You guys, you name something, I probably listen to it. Billy Joel, Springsteen, Jason Isbell, all over the map. So a fun question. Appreciate it. So yeah, let's see. Oh man, how does Blake Brandel hold up once the pads get on? I think everybody's curious to see that answer. He is more, to me, he might be more sizable than Dalton Reisner and maybe more capable of pushing vertically than a Dalton Reisner in the run game. So we'll see. I mean, those Cleveland practices, like I could write a lot right now probably about the offensive line, but I'm not going to go crazy optimistic or pessimistic until I see that group in action. The continuity is great. The depth is pretty solid, in my opinion, when you have a David Quessenberry and a Dan Feeney and Dalton Reisner. But I just I have a healthy skepticism, maybe because I just cover the Vikings and that's how we should operate for the interior of the offensive line. So we'll see. That I'll just continue to kind of monitor that. Sam Olson asks, could you see us using multiple guys in the wide receiver 3 role based on what situation we're in on the field? Yes, 100%. Kevin O'Connell hinted at that Wednesday. He was asked about wide receiver 3, and he named everybody in the roster, essentially. Jalen Naylor, Brandon Powell, Tristan Jackson, Lucky Jackson, the Thayer Thomases of the world, who I've always been impressed with Thayer. Really quick feet, which shows up at practice. But, yeah, some of those guys have differing skill sets. Jalen Naylor is more of the get open separator, speed guy down the field. I thought he's looked really good. If he stays healthy, to me, if they're not adding externally, which I still think would be possible, he would be my guy. Again, if he's healthy. If. It's a major if with him. Brandon Powell, staff loves him, reliable. He's willing to be physical, which is an important aspect. But I just don't know. In the event of an injury to Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison, where does that leave you? If Brandon Powell's your number 2, essentially, that would be tough. Trent Sherfield, need to see him in pads against Cleveland, where he is letting the defense eat in terms of a run blocking approach. So I'm looking forward to watching him there. Skull Fan brings up the idea of Jay Ward maybe switching over from safety to corner in given what has happened in that position. It's an interesting thought. It's something I had driving to the facility today. He's practiced a lot at safety, but they are loaded at that group with Harrison Smith, Cam Bynum, Josh Metellus, and Theo Jackson, who, you guys, you follow my Twitter, I like this guy. I think every day he stands out to me. He is long, he is athletic, he has the wherewithal to read plays and pass patterns. So, maybe that is an option where you're like, you know what? Let's see if Jay can handle that position a little more and get another athletic guy on the field and in that room. So a good thought from you, Skull Fan, and it's something that I will continue to monitor as time goes on. I'm trying to see what else we have. How is the new kickoff format looking? We haven't seen a ton of it. They've done some short blocking type of drills in it, but I think at some point I'll sit down with Matt Daniels. Might even have him on here to talk through just what that kickoff is going to look like. Luke Braun, who does a great job on his own right. Who would you say is the front runner for the third cornerback job? If it's internal right now, I think it's probably Duke Shelley slides in the interior and you move Byron Murphy out to the outside. If Shaq Griffin is healthy, that's assuming he's healthy. But I don't love that. I think part of the reason they signed Byron Murphy was to have him at nickel. And I think adding Shaq Griffin gave them optimism that they would be able to have Byron Murphy play the nickel corner spot this year. So to then move him back outside, it wouldn't be preferable, which is, again, why I go back to the veteran option. Just makes too much sense to me. I'll end with a buddy asked me, Jacob Carmel, he asked me, what is your prediction on the Titans record? People don't come here for Titans talk. I don't know where people even go for Titans talk. It's not a shot on but Mike Keith, the voice of the Titans, was on PA's show, and he was talking about Lloyd Cushenberry like he was Jason Kelsey mixed with, I don't know, Orlando Pace. Calvin Ridley's interesting. Tony Pollard, we'll see what he can do, how healthy he looks. I love Jeffrey Simmons. They added L'Jarius Sneed. There's some, they're in a somewhat similar spot to the Vikings with a young quarterback, albeit one who was drafted later and who's already played. But their GM, Rand Carthon, worked closely with Kwesi Adofo-Mensah in San Francisco. Their over-under is 6.5. So pretty similar teams and team building situations. It'll be interesting, I guess, to watch the Titans and see how what their path looks like in that division, which is pretty talented, what that compares to the Vikings and another talented division. So appreciate the question. Titans talk, probably the last we'll do with that in a while, but I appreciate it, Jacob. So yeah, that's a little mailbag portion. We went about half and half of me spitballing takes and then taking some questions. If you enjoyed this, I'd love to know that. I'd like to know what you would want more of, whether it's the former or the latter. I'd like to know what type of guests you guys want to hear from. I'm looking forward to a couple of people we have lined up next week. And yeah, I like I said at the top, we'd appreciate if you like and subscribe because apparently that helps us out. Don't really know how, but maybe I'll find out if you guys do that. So apologies to those who came prepped for the live Q&A. We will get that sorted through, and I'm excited to kind of figure that out for you guys. In the meantime, you can follow my work, my day-to-day work in writing at theathletic.com. Really excited about a story coming to you guys Monday. So stay locked and loaded for that. It is one that we will talk about next week for sure on the podcast. And then you can find me on Twitter at Alec_Lewis. So, like I said at the top, thank you guys for listening. I don't take it for granted. It's very fun to do this. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Keep coming back because, it's training camp form. We'll get the hang of it. Have a great weekend. And if you're going to the 3M Open, enjoy that. Hit them straight if you're playing. And yeah, that's the Alec Lewis Show. Thank you guys for listening.